Alright, hi everybody, I'm Xing Xuan and today I'll be sharing with you about superheroes. So, pretty sure most of you here would be familiar with superheroes. You all probably watched some Marvel movies, DC movies, recently Avengers, those kind of movies. Yep, so I'm here to talk with you about these kind of superheroes. But before I move into the idea of superheroes, let me share a little bit about myself. So, unfortunately, because of how the COVID situation has turned out, we are unable to meet you face to face in the center, which is honestly quite upsetting for all of us. But nonetheless, I'll try my best to introduce myself and give you all a face that you'll be able to recognize throughout the rest of the activities as well. So, my name is Jing Xuan. I'm currently J1 studying at ACSI. Some down here we actually call ourselves year fives. So, others might introduce themselves as that. So don't be too confused about that. Anyways, moving on. It's quite sad that we can't meet face to face in the center, but let me just share with you about a few things about myself. Okay, I love Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars and as well as a huge fan of superheroes, which is why I've chosen this topic to share with you about. I always like going out and chilling with my friends. So in case you can't see me, I'm this person here, and that's me. So yeah, that's me. After that, I'm in three CCAs: NCC, Young Entrepreneur Society, and Active Actions. You all really don't need to know too much about that. It's just like fun things, and I think most of the time I'm in a pretty good mood, so always be happy. So anyway, let's move on. So, what are some of your favorite superheroes? So, there's two big sides in superheroes if you think about it. There's Marvel and then there's a DC Detective Comics. So, personally, I'm more of a Marvel fan. I've always liked Marvel. The movies are pretty good. The DC movies, they're just not that good. Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Spider Man, especially Spider Man. Tom Holland. Those pretty good movies to watch. DC, not. I mean, the superheroes are interesting. I've always liked Batman since I was young. Superman is like I think so. Not really too much of an interesting character. Green Lantern, Flash, those kind of characters, they're not too bad. But I guess a lot of us do like superheroes, and there's a reason why we like superheroes, I guess, which I'll share more about later. But uh, y'all can't really respond to me since this is a recorded video. But I mean, if you're near your friends or anything, do talk about or do try tell them what's your favorite superhero. So I'll just share with you my favorite superhero, which is actually Iron Man. So whoa, this may sound a bit basic and everything, but personally, I think Iron Man is like one of the more real heroes if you think about it. Like first of all, he's like super smart, super cool. I wish I was that cool. Okay, and he built suits. You see, he's got like no superpower. He doesn't have like super strength, super speed, that kind of thing, which personally is like not very realistic if you think about it. But he works with what he has. He's got the money and he builds like super cool suits with it, and that's pretty cool. Like not gonna lie, and the suits, you see like the latest movie, the suit actually just like builds itself. Like, I mean, in Iron Man 3, the suit came to him, but in like Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, bro, the suit just builds itself. I think that's the pretty cool thing about it, and like he has insane character development. Like if you watch the movie, like at the start, if you like pay attention, his first movie, he's like this like really like self-centered kind of guy. He's like all about himself. But then as like he moves on, he's like, he starts worrying about the world, and like he has to build something to prevent like Thanos coming. So honestly, pretty good character development, really realistic guy. It's like if you think about it, he's like probably the most like realistic superhero you can see in the world. I mean, the most realistic superhero you can see in that could be here in real life. And also, obviously, he does a snap at the end of Endgame. In case you haven't watched it yet, but like, yeah, he does the snap, and that's pretty cool. So, anyways, let's move on. So, are superheroes real? Like I just mentioned, how Iron Man is like a more realistic hero, but can they be real? Like, unfortunately, I hate to break it to y'all if y'all don't know already, but superheroes are not real. Like, people can't do like super speed or like super strength. I mean, probably if you like work out them a lot, you could lift like heavier things than that we couldn't lift. Like I probably couldn't lift like, I don't know, a car, but maybe if you like really work out a lot, you probably could push a car. But like you probably can't throw the car. So that's the sad thing about it. I mean, honestly, if I could choose a superpower, I like, would choose to be like, you know, teleport. I think teleportation is like the coolest thing. Like it's all about convenience for me. Like I can't stand walking like long distances. Like why don't you just teleport? That's the fun thing about it, right? So anyway, yeah, you can teleport. That's a superhero that but a superhero power that I would like to have. Other people like different things. Like, my friend would say that he wants invisibility. But let's just think about it. Invisibility. It's like, that's a pretty creepy superpower. Like, not really much of a practical, really like good use about it. But super strength, super speed. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Anyways, back to the topic. Are superheroes real? So they're not real, but I do believe they have certain things that are real and that can be taken away from. Example, their character strength. So don't know in school whether y'all have like pastoral care lessons or like value, like citizenship values lesson kind of thing, but you know, they always emphasize on character strengths and traits, which like I don't want to preach it to you, but like there are certain traits and character strengths that we can look at: bravery, fairness, love, perseverance, creativity. So like if you just think about the superheroes that have these kind of strengths, you know, you have like characters like Iron Man. You know, he's brave, he's creative, he knows how to, you know, he sees problems, and with what he has, he works to solve them. And that's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do, but it's certainly admirable. So like, why don't you just discuss it among yourselves? Like, if you're in the group right now, but if you're not in the group, you just think about it. Like, what is one superhero which displays a certain character strength that you think is worthy of trying to follow? Example for me, I would say Spider-Man perhaps, because Spider-Man, you know, he really cares about his friends if you watch the movie or something like that. And that's really about love and you know, perseverance, especially because he's going all the way out there to, you know, he doesn't give up in the fight. He continues to try and move on, which is personally I think quite admirable. Anyways, so when we look at superheroes, when we ask the question, are superheroes real? Their superpowers are not real, but their character strengths, those are certainly very real, and I think we can learn from it. So I just want to ask you a question before we move on to the next slide. Like, do you think Singapore has superheroes? So actually, Singapore does have some superheroes. Surprisingly, we've tried to make superheroes. Example, Virus Vanguard. So I think if you are familiar with the news or something, you have seen this before, but if not, let me just introduce. So they got a group of artists to actually come together and put these superheroes in Singapore's idea together. They had what? If you look here, they got Circuit Breaker, Doctor Disinfector, Marwa Man. I don't really understand this Marwa Man thing, but there's Fake News Buster and there's Care Lady. I also don't understand this one, and I don't understand the Marwa Man. But you can see they will try to inspire like I think more of like the children and like teens, you know, who like, you know, really relate to superheroes, as I imagine most of you like, you know, kind of look up or like admire superheroes. So definitely they tried to have like, you know, promote the safe measurement measures. It didn't really work out, but in fact some people say it was a complete flop lah. But like, to me, I thought it was a good idea. The designs are quite cool. Like personally, like if you look at Circuit Breaker, I can't really zoom in on the slides, but you know, you see it, it's pretty cool to me. I don't really understand like the design of Fake News Buster. Personally, his hammer doesn't make much sense to me. And you should probably wonder what's their abilities. Like, I'm just trying to guess what their abilities are right now. Probably can't guess it. Anyway, let's move on. So another really funny one would be Virtual Reality Man. So this is Virtual Reality Man right here. Yep. If you wouldn't believe it, but this is like one of our first Singapore superheroes. So I think this was like some 1990s show, I think. If it's not 1990s, then forgive me. I mean, I'm not really too sure. But his power is like Green Lantern. You know, Green Lantern, he has the ring and he like summons the things that he can think of. Yeah, so he projects virtual objects. So yeah, VR stands for like virtual reality. Don't know whether y'all have played virtual reality before, but this is some things that he does. And like he solidifies the objects. And his enemy, like, it's quite funny lah. His enemy is called Click Click Man and Boss Man. So it was actually pretty hilarious. A lot of people found it funny, but it was actually supposed to be like a serious superhero show. It's like our attempt of genuinely creating a superhero genre type show, but it really just fell flat. Can't blame them though. The idea is not really that great. I mean, they should have gone with something cooler. Like he should have a cape or something. I think, look, if he had a cape, he would have looked so much cooler. That's what I think. Anyways, let's move on. So here, I think we can play one of these funny moments.
I don't care what they say about you. They are wrong. They are wrong.
Stop! You're under arrest.
No, don't!
So you can see the acting in the show is quite odd, not really realistic, but it's quite funny and comical how the show was done. So yeah, that is Singapore's attempts of making superheroes. But if we look beyond the word, if we look at the word superheroes itself, right? Let me write this down. Superheroes, right? It's actually like a break off of the word. We put the word super in front of the word heroes. Now, when we put the word super, we're trying to say that, you know, they have something that's different from the rest of the heroes in the world. You know, they have super strength, super speed, super powers, something along those lines. But in reality, superheroes do not exist, but heroes do. And there are a lot of heroes in Singapore. Let's just look at one. So, example, Jason Chee. So many of you might not know Jason Chee. Personally, I was actually introduced to him. I didn't meet him in person, but I knew about him from a teacher who shared like his story during like a sharing session one day. And Jason Chee's quite a remarkable person. So Jason Chee was actually serving in the Navy in Singapore's armed forces, and what happened was he was involved in some naval accident where he lost both his legs and his arm. Usually when this kind of thing happens to a person, it's not good. It's quite a big setback. I mean, physically speaking, mentally speaking as well. If we look at the mental implications it has on him, that means how it affects how he thinks. It's not very good if you think about it. He could think very negatively. He could not. Like most people, when they go through such a thing, they will give up. They'll just say, "I can't do this anymore. What's the point?" But something remarkable about this person. Now, we remember how I talked about how superheroes, they have super strengths, but they also have their traits which make them human. You see, one human trait that's very important is perseverance, bouncing back. And that's what Jason Chee did. Now, it's remarkable, it's super remarkable. Despite losing 2 legs and his arm, he bounced back. He bounced back and he competed in the Asian Paralympics game, the ASEAN Paralympics game. So the ASEAN Games is like a big deal. It's kind of like Olympics for this area. If you are not familiar with the ASEAN Paralympic Games, but it's just for para-athletes, which means athletes that have some sort of physical disability or mental disability. But yes, so what happened was this Jason Chee, he was involved in such a bad accident, but despite all of that, he displayed an enormous amount of tenacity, grit, sheer determination. So all this means he persevered. He persevered and he did not give up. And he did not give up and he chose to participate in this kind of thing, which is honestly super remarkable. This right here is a true demonstration of superhuman feat, superhuman strength, not superhuman strength, but a superhuman ability to persevere and to not give up, no matter what kind of circumstances you face. It's true dedication, and I think it's quite remarkable. So let's move on. Another real hero we can find that unfortunately has passed on already is the late Dr. Alexandra Chow. So similarly to right now, there's a COVID-19, which has impacted us for about 2 years already, bordering on 2 years, and actually 1.5 years maybe. But Dr. Alexandra Chow was one of the medical professionals that was living outside of Singapore when the SARS crisis hit. So SARS was like something like COVID-19, but in 2003. So that's even before I was born. So I'm 17, and this happened 1 year before I was born. So this Dr. Alexandra Chow, who was a medical professional, is a doctor, returned to Singapore to help fight against SARS. So in case you're unfamiliar with SARS, it's something similar to COVID, just that it was a lot more deadly, a lot more lethal than COVID. So I'm pretty sure if you caught SARS, you had a higher chance of dying, which was, quite scary if you think about it. And remember, at that time, they didn't have the technology or the ability to trace like the spread of the virus. So right now, perhaps some of you might have your trace together token or something like that. Yeah, they didn't really have that at that time. So it was hard to track the spread of the virus. And you can imagine a much more deadly virus than COVID-19 being spread. Why would you return to Singapore? That's the question. And return to Singapore not to save his family, but to help his fellow Singaporeans that were struggling. And this is the kind of care and concern and dedication to the community that he displayed, which is truly remarkable. Right, because it is really not easy to, especially look at this, he has 2 children, he's married, and he's willing to put his family aside. Not because he doesn't love them, but because he knows the needs of his country, the needs of the medical professionals. Because I'm pretty sure, I'm not too sure about the context of this, but a lot of the medical professionals were what they call not clean. They could have exposure, so they couldn't actually conduct surgeries. So he came back as a clean surgeon, which was he didn't have exposure to the certain virus or something, to conduct these surgeries. And eventually, along this process of helping as a medical professional, he succumbed to the disease. And it means he caught SARS, and unfortunately he passed on. And there's only 4 medical professionals, I think, who actually died in the battle against SARS. So this is true dedication. So even though down here I only put Dr. Alexandra Chow, there are definitely a lot more medical professionals in Singapore, even right now during this COVID-19 pandemic, who are actually out there fighting along the front lines to help us and to help our country move out of this kind of thing. And it's really remarkable that these are true people, real heroes. They may not have the superhuman strength or body to be immune from the virus, but they have that superhuman traits, the characters, the perseverance, the sheer care and concern for the community to, to step forward and do this kind of things, which is truly remarkable, and I think definitely worthy of our admiration. So let's move on. Another superhero that we can see is Tony Tay. So I'm not too sure whether how many of you are familiar with Willing Hearts, but Willing Hearts is one of those food kitchens in Singapore that provides hot meals to the needy, and that's completely free of charge, by the way. So Tony Tay is the founder of this entire charitable organization, and the background to this is that he grew up hungry, and he knew what it was like to go on days without proper food. And just another little bit more about backstory that I didn't include here in the slides is that his grandmother, or his mother, one of them, right, actually was passed on when he was quite young, and he saw a lot of people coming to the funeral just because the mother cared for them. And he was not raised in a very well-to-do family, but nonetheless, he still put the effort to, his parents and his grandparents put in the effort to help others, and others recognized the help that they've given and showed up to her funeral. And this is what Tony Tay saw in people. He saw that when you help people, people are grateful. When you help people, you're really out there helping the community, and you're doing something good. And that's what he did. So when he grew up, he started this Willing Hearts Foundation, and now he works about 360 days. So that's only like 5 off days. Like if you think about it, as a student, you only go like 5 days times 10, 50. You maximum, if there's assuming no holidays, is 200 days. That's how much we go to school. But he goes to school, he goes to volunteer to help 360 days. That's a huge commitment. And if you think about it, he does it free of charge. He doesn't gain any incentive from this. He doesn't earn money. It's non-profitable. And he still does this to provide about 3,000 meals daily, free of charge to the needy or to the elderly, and their hot meals. And that's really remarkable. Like, I keep using the word remarkable a lot in this presentation, but it's admirable. This kind of dedication and service towards the community is, as I said, superhuman. Right, so if you think about it, right, in Singapore, if you look hard enough, you'll realize that there are heroes everywhere. So what this means is, in a more simplified context, would be if you look at your friends in a day-to-day basis. Example, you're in the canteen, you're helping your friend outside, you're going out with your parents outside, you notice there are people helping each other, there are people that are providing things for each other, and these are just small acts of kindness that along the way provide a more holistic community, or perhaps in a better way to phrase it, it will be a more warm community. People are out there to help each other. And if we go back to the main point about superheroes, we may not have the super strength, we may not have the super speed, or the ability to save the world from, Thanos, to save the world from, Loki or something. But what we do have is our own mindset and our own character strengths. And you see, if we just follow the character strengths of someone that is remarkable, Jason Shi, Dr. Alexandra Chow, Tony Tay, or even other Singaporeans, there are thousands of Singaporeans that are heroes every day, that deserve more recognition than perhaps a fictional character like Iron Man does, but they don't. It's because we become accustomed. It's because we're too used to seeing such acts, but we don't recognize it. We don't outwardly go out and tell people, thank you for what you've done. So what I'm trying to tell all of you today is that as we look towards superheroes in movies, we can also see superheroes among ourselves, among our friends, among our peers, our parents. And that's the beauty of mankind, is that despite there being no incentive, despite there being no victory in doing whatever we do, we still do it out of our love and care for the community. You see, unlike Iron Man or Thor fighting whatever he's fighting, there's no win for Iron Man to say, yes, I've beaten the guy. There's no prize at the end of the day, but there is a benefit that's gained by the elderly, the needy who are out there to receive. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, that that even though there might be no incentive for us, even though there might be no point for us, you know, to demonstrate these kind of things, there's still a other end that is receiving and truly being blessed by our actions. And that's the idea of being a superhero, I believe, and that's the core trait of being a superhero. So I just want to tell y'all that during this period, we can't see y'all, but we really hope that you guys will stay strong, stay safe, you know, try not to go out if possible, follow the safe management measures, you know, but personally try and enjoy, make good use of your holidays, you know, do your revision if you have things to revise, you know, go out, do some exercise, but don't go out and don't take off your mask and then blame people like that. No. Like truly just try and enjoy your time, have a good rest during these holidays, and hopefully we'll be able to see you sometime soon, or perhaps there'll be other opportunities for us to meet. If not, enjoy and thank you for, you know, listening throughout this entire presentation.